Catherine Mahoney, author of Currently Between Husbands, and I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and pay my respects. I extend this to any First Nations people watching this evening. Tonight, I'm thrilled to host this exclusive first interview with both social media personality, entrepreneur Sophia Cachia, and her fiance, WNBL star Maddie Garrett. We're almost there. So a few technical difficulties, as they say in the classics. We've almost got the girls here. Hope everyone out there is well and safe and not as wet as I am, because it is pouring in Sydney. What else can I say? I should have had a dance prepared. I really should have. I mean, gosh, I'm not really professional. How about I tell you about my book while we're waiting for the ladies? Okay, so I can certainly relate to Then There Were Her. My book, Currently Between Husbands, is a story about my marriage breakup with one of Australia's highest profile sports stars, Andrew Johns. When I have to give an elevator pitch about my book, I tell people it's like Bridget Jones meets Eat, Pray, Love, but with less yoga, more vodka and bigger undies. And the ladies are here.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry.
I might time to do a dance today. We're all good?
Yeah, we are good to go. Can you hear us okay?
I can. Can you see me?
Yes,
can you hear me?
We can see you.
Look at this technology. It's fantastic. We're going global, ladies. We're going global.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We'll soon find out.
No, it's a great thing. Now, for everybody listening, before we kick off, we would love to hear from you. So comment the questions you would like to ask, and we'll do our best to get through some of them towards the end of the event. And feel free to show your support and let us know if you've ordered the book and pop that in the comments. But I'm not very tech savvy, but I've been told if you want to ask the girls a question, there's an icon with a question mark. So pop your question in there. So right. Anyway, okay, a few questions to kick it off. I think I need to lie down. But Sophie, can you tell me a little bit about your quite public backstory for those who might not know?
Yes, so for those who don't know, welcome. Thank you for joining our live. We're just discussing if we sit on the floor so you can see us a bit better. We might do that. We don't knock the camera off. We'll try not to knock you off. But basically, are we good? That's better. Basically, well, where do I start? I became a mum very young. I was 22 when I fell pregnant, birthed my beautiful son, Bobby, at 23. I got married at the age of 25 to my ex-husband now, and we had another baby, Florence. She was born in 2017. So my backstory with how I grew my following was that I was a mum blogger. I lived a very authentic, open and honest life online. Sort of fell into that organically when Instagram began, and yeah, I suppose I just built a really loyal following from discussing my motherhood and parenting journey really openly, and I found that there was an audience out there who really liked it. They engaged with it. I feel like I sort of found a niche market that needed to hear those things, because for so long anything in the media I had seen about pregnancies and motherhood, it was all positive and it was all beautiful, and it is those things, but it's also very challenging. It's also, you know, you face a lot of, I'm not going to say challenges again, but it's a roller coaster, and it still is, still to this day. And I think it still will be for a while to come. So I suppose my book surrounds the fact that I did all of that stuff really young, in a version of myself where I thought I knew who Sophie was. But the reality was that at 27, 28, I truly think that's when I started to actually figure out who I was as an individual. And part of that journey, not all of it, but part of it was that I became aware of, you know, I call it the female figure. I became aware of my feelings and attractions to women in general. which I don't think is uncommon. And that's something that I wanted to communicate in the book, that it is really not uncommon for any human to discover those feelings at any stage of their life, let alone a woman in her 20s. For me, it was just, I lived a very public life and I was married with children. So I did face a lot of pressure from society, in the sense that I won't say the word trapped, but I feel like that my path was already written out for me, and that I had already made such large commitments in my life, and that I felt like I was going to be going against my authentic self if I stayed on that path. So the book really is, it's not, it is a large chunk about discovering my sexuality, but I think what a lot of people are learning from reading it is that it's simply a woman discovering her and continually discovering her on their journey. And I look forward to continually doing that throughout the next chapters of my life as well.
I love that. You wait till you get to 47, Sophie, there's more to discover.
But that's what I mean. And once it was a fear of mine, and once it was really confronting and scary, and now I've sort of been through a really big change and evolution. I'm so excited for that to come, because I know how much I've discovered about myself. I know how much I've grown. I also know it's not been easy, and that's just part of life, that I now can sit here. I turned 32 this year, and I'm just so excited to continually grow and learn and discover who I am and who I can be as well.
Well, I love that. I got goosebumps when you said that. Now, talking about goosebumps, tell me, what does Maddie mean to you?
Mads, what does Maddie mean to me? Well, you talk about like finding your place in life. And again, once I thought that I'd found that, but I feel so at peace now. And I've used the word peace and calm a lot when I describe Maddie and our relationship and how she makes me feel. And I feel like I am living, whilst I wasn't living a closeted life or a sheltered life, because I didn't know this side to me back then. It's not like I was hiding my sexuality because I hadn't discovered it yet. With Mads now, I just feel a sense of completeness. And I'm very big on that you don't need somebody to complete you. Mads, we complement each other. And yeah, the book details that it hasn't always been easy, but we were just talking about, before we came on this live, we were talking about how challenging this whole process has been for both of us. And I'm sure we'll discuss that later, but just how content we both feel now. And I feel like, if anything, this book has been almost therapeutic for both of us. We can really comfortably talk about things that maybe 12 months ago we couldn't have. And so Mads is my peace and my calmness, and she's my person.
Oh, I love that.
How cute.
Oh. I'd like a Maddie, thanks very much. I've certainly got that towards the end of the book, that peace and calm, and in the interviews I've read and heard since the book has come out. Peace and calm, what a beautiful place to be together in as a couple. And life gets bumpy, as you said, it's had its moments over the last few weeks, but you've got through it, and it's learning and growing. Calm and peaceful Maddie, I'm going to ask you a few questions now.
Sure.
I'm keen to know your side of the story. What did your adjustments to Sophie's family life entail for you?
Well, I think the biggest piece to that is then living with children as well. They've been amazing. They're great kids, and it's so great to be able to go to a basketball game or go home and they're there wearing my jersey, or Bobby comes home from school and he's like, I made you this today. And still to this day, even though I don't play for the basketball club I was playing at when I met them, Bobby still draws me things and makes me things in purple and yellow colors, because that's how he remembers me. So that, all that stuff's really cute. But then as an athlete, obviously my life's very transient, and it has to be very adjustable. We're moving back on this.
Yeah, that's right.
Going back. Things can change so rapidly. And so it has been an adjustment for both of us. I'm very kind of easygoing and it's fine. We'll just adjust it. I can do that later in the day. Whereas Sophie sometimes no, I need that done now. And I'm like, yeah, we'll get done, but just maybe not in the time frame that you want. It's still today. I'll get it done. So we had some
we still
have yeah, not as bad, but yeah, just adjusting to those spare moments where it might be a rest time for me, or I might have to do an extra training session or something. Just really trying to think about and implement kids into that as well, and just their needs of when it's bedtime. Sometimes when mum's not there, doing some extra things and understanding kids more. Like I obviously coach kids, but I have a better understanding of relating to kids now, just from being or living with kids.
I think following on from that, it was just, and it still is, and we have spoken to other families in this situation where parents have come in who haven't really, like you said, you've coached kids, but coaching kids versus parenting kids is very different. And the reality is our lifestyles have come from complete opposite ends. So Mads has always worked on her own schedule. Her focus has always been what she's eating for the day. Has she drank enough water? Has she slept 8 hours? Has she gone to the gym? Whether as a mum for the past 8 years, has everyone else done those things before I've done them? And so, yeah, we have certainly faced challenges both ways, with Mads adjusting to putting herself aside a bit, and me also not expecting. I think I did expect too much from Maddie at the start, that she'd come in and just get it. And then I sort of had to check in with myself and go, well, that's not fair. This doesn't come naturally to her, and it's too much of an expectation that I just expect her to get it. So yeah, I have spoken to other stepmoms that have come into these roles, and it's been sort of refreshing for me to hear their perspective of them going, oh, it's really hard. Like, I don't get it. I don't want to put a kid first. I want to go on a date on a Wednesday night, and I don't want to be in bed at 7:30. So yeah, I think it caused up, we butted heads for a little bit there, but we still face those challenges, but we're much better at communicating it and just adjusting to those lifestyles and bringing our lifestyles together as well.
Yeah, it's ongoing, and kids grow and things change. I've been a stepmom too, and you sort of go, have we got to watch Thomas the Tank Engine again? Like, one of my shows is on. You don't just go, oh yeah, of course you're the kid, sorry. But we all get better at it. I did love seeing your Mother's Day post on the Instagram. It was lovely seeing two lovely mums. Maddie, what have you learned from Sophie's children so far, do you think?
Well, I did see some people just writing then about patience. That's probably the biggest thing. Again, with the nature of the work that I do in my career, it's very much, you have to have patience in that, but it's very much, well, if you can't do this or you can't have that, then bad luck, get on with it type thing. And with kids, it's like you have to have that patience and that understanding of, okay, so they're really emotional today. It's not just because they're sooking because they can't have a packet of chips, but it's because they might miss their mum or they didn't get enough sleep. So just understanding, having a greater understanding of where all those emotions and everything are coming from. So patience would be the first thing. And then just, I think also like I'm a big kid at heart too. Yeah. So it allows me to be more of me too at times as well. Yeah, I think patience is probably the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people in here can agree from the comments that are just popping up. And yeah, just that time management as well, and thinking as a broad picture rather than I've got to go train now, I've got to do this, coming from that environment of a career that's, I wouldn't say it's not selfish intentionally, but you need to be in terms of I've got to put my training first. And I've explained to Soph sometimes, I'm like, I'm not going to training to get away from everyone. Like, I want to go to training and I have to go to training because it would be like you going and sitting in a meeting. And obviously in like a national season, we're training every single day. But in the off season, I'm not training in terms of team training every day, but I actually needed to do a lot more training because that's when their work happens and you improve and stuff. So that was an adjustment for all of us as well.
Yeah, I think getting more sleep too. I think that was a tip for me. I used to just go to bed really early. Yeah. They just get up. Whatever time you go to bed, they still get up really early. So yeah, that was my kind of winning tip. Get to bed early. Maddie, on an individual level, how do you feel now as a person who's experienced so much change?
I think that's just the beauty of life, though. It can change at any time, and we just adapt. You kind of have to adapt to something, or not that you'll be left behind, but life will still continue, time still goes, life still goes, and it doesn't matter whether it's with family or own habits or changing things. Like, you just have to adapt to life. And I think that's the beauty of it as well, adapting in different areas of my life. Now thinking about, you know, kids and stuff, I have a better understanding when it comes to my career of other things that I need to think about. So it opens up a whole nother thinking process around career and life and myself and Sophie. But I think that the biggest thing is just the adaptability piece, and just going with it.
Love that. Okay, Sophie is your future. What is your best memory together? And dare I ask, what is your hardest memory together?
Yeah, the best memory, I mean, there's plenty of them. I think one of my favorite memories was probably one of our first dates. It was around Christmas time. And so it's like, what are you doing tonight? And I said, nothing. And she's like, all right, I'm going to come pick you up. I'm going to take you somewhere, just like a little cute date. And we went to like this Christmas carols thing at like around St. Kilda area. One of her friends was kind of running it. And we took like a hot chicken, some bread rolls, and some salad, like grapes, and was just like completely normal, but just at like a little park with a lot of other people. And it was just so nice. But I think the thing that attracted me, or one of the things that attracted me to Sophie, because there's obviously a lot of things, was the fact that because I've spent a lot of my life in my career and around my basketball friends or teammates or, you know, whatever, Sophie was someone who I didn't know. I actually said to her when we were first introduced, I said, because everyone's like, oh my God, that's Sophia Cachia. And I was like, oh, like who? I literally said, who? And she was standing right there. And I said to her when we first started chatting, I was like, I'm really sorry. I have absolutely no idea who you are. And she's like, you know what? I love that.
I loved it.
Yeah. And it was just because it was so refreshing to meet someone that wasn't so much part of the
totally different.
Yeah, so different. And she had different friends and different family. And then, you know, the kids and stuff. So it was just, that. But long story short, that's not like me. Probably just the simple things. And that first kind of cute date, that wasn't our first official date, was probably, one of the best ones.
Can I say my favorite thing? Because it's sort of similar to that.
Yeah, go.
One of my favorite memories is, and this is what I love most about Mads, and sometimes she's questioned if that means she's boring or if it's not fun, but the simplicity with Mads, like how much fun we can have together by doing nothing. And I think that's really beautiful. And when we got back together for the second time, again, we'll probably touch on this. When we got back together, COVID was still in lockdown. I'd had a very emotional up and down few months with an ex-partner. Maddie had, because I'd put her through that by going to another partner. But when we reunited, I was sleeping at her house for a bit, and we pulled out the mattress into the lounge room of her little one-bedroom apartment, and we set up like our own movies sort of thing. And we got choc tops and we got popcorn, and we spent a couple of nights just sleeping out in the lounge room watching scary movies.
Brilliant.
And you know what? It was just my favorite time, because, you know, for so long I thought I wanted something else, and I thought I was chasing something else. And in these moments, I realized this is exactly what I want to be doing. I want to be laying on a mattress in a lounge room watching shitty Netflix movies because I'm with Maddie. And I remember recalling those moments because we had just got in contact again, and we were both unsure, like, what are we doing? Is this a good idea? But very quickly, I was reassured that I'm just so happy around her. We don't need to be doing anything fancy or amazing. Like me on a couch, on a lounge room floor watching Scream 4 or whatever was exactly where I wanted to be. So the simplicity of our good memories together, I think that shows. We've both just listed two, you know, a Coles chicken and a mattress on the floor. But yeah, you want to do hardest? Because I think there's a few.
There's obviously a few. And sometimes when I talk about it, like, I get emotional, not because it's still makes me upset. It was just because the time, how it made me feel. Because you still have times when you think in your life that, oh my gosh, that was the hardest time in my life, and it still makes you feel a certain way. So it's more of that. But probably the hardest thing for me was during the lockdown. Like everything, we had just had our season cancelled, and this is when it went to hard lockdown. Like I was literally in four walls. Sophie had obviously gone back to her ex-partner, and I literally, like, I never stopped loving Sophie. I just like had to.
I'm going to cry. Don't do that. Oh, mad.
I was supposed to. And Sophie writes, excuse me, in her book that I said to her, you had to, excuse my language, just sit in your shit. And I literally just had to sit there. And I couldn't do anything about it. And at the same time, she was back with her ex, even though there were their own challenges. But they had happy times as well. They were together. And, you know, I had people contact me, and unintentionally, like, not to upset me, but just to
throwing it in your face.
Yeah, just to check in if I was okay. But at the same time, it was just reminding me, like, oh, okay, well, that's happening, and, you know, all this and that. And it was beautiful that people were checking in, but it was just a reminder to me, well, this has just happened. And then going back to the lockdown thing, I couldn't even go see a family member or a friend just for a hug. So
Horrendous.
yeah, I literally just had to sit there with my feelings and feel every single emotion and just work through it. So that was, as I said, it's not because I
do a cough or
something. But it's just because I just remember the feeling of, and I know everyone was having a tough time during the lockdown, but as I said, I was just being reminded, and I literally just had to sit in four walls and just go, all right, I'm going to try and get up today and put one foot in front of the other, and I don't know, talk to someone online, like a friend.
And you were living on your own.
Yeah, and I was living by myself. So yeah, I wasn't expecting to cry, but yeah.
Oh, Maggie, I'm glad that this has got a happy ending.
Yeah.
That is not the end of the story. I'm glad that that's definitely not the end. But so many people out there will relate to that, you know, whether it was in lockdown or not, when they had their heart broken, you know, and they lost someone they love. We all, that pain in the morning, that elephant on your chest when you can't breathe, you know. I think that is why so many people make so much money writing heartbreak songs, because we've all been there. And luckily they do the good songs too when we reconnect, and it's a happy ending like you two. This won't make you cry because I want to speak about your career. Your sport it's debuting, isn't it, in the Commonwealth Games, which is super exciting. How are you feeling? And how's training going?
Yeah, it's going to be a hard process to get in, I think. Or for those who don't know, I play in the 3x3 version of basketball. So to put it simply, it's, you know, like the big bash of cricket. It's half court. It's like an exciting street ball version. It's more physical. It's faster. Blah blah blah. And I think now, because it debuted at the Olympics last year, it's becoming more recognised as a cool sport. It's still fundamentally the same. So more people want to be involved now. So we've had, you know, a team that's been pretty set in terms of, you know, who's being selected for certain things for a couple of years, but now it's gained more traction. More people want to come in and play it. So in terms of fighting for a position, it's like any national team, you have to work for your spot, and we have selection camps for that. And so, yeah, it's hard for us Australians who play it, because it goes on ranking points by nations, and ranking points come from playing in tournaments. But because we don't have a lot of funding for it, and we're so far away from Europe, we can't just, you know, on the weekend go over for a 2 or 3 day tournament. And so we're kind of behind that way. But because we have such talented individuals and such talented, I guess a great national league here, we're able to compete at a high level given all of that. So yeah, more people wanting to do it. We're always training. I'm in an off-season league now. I'm training basically every day, doesn't stop all year round. So yeah, we'll have some training camps soon, and we'll see what happens, and I'll try as best as I can and do what I can to try and make that team.
So exciting. And I think I'm so exhausted thinking about playing 3-on-3. Like, I played pretty well in the under 12. I played pretty well in the under 12s in South Wales back in the day, but 3-on-3, that sounds exhausting. So you are, yeah, all hail you. You're also a sports commentator, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
As you get older, I'm not, retiring you just yet, but as you get older, is that something you'd like to do more of?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of something I fell into a little bit. I think because they're trying to tie in a little bit more of females or female basketballers into the National Basketball League, so the men's side. And just knowing some people through basketball, basically. They just asked if I wanted to join this new show that they were doing called the Amy Crossover Show. And then from there, they were like, one day we'd love to get you on doing the commentating, but we'll drip feed you into these little bits here and there. And then got into sideline commentating. Yeah, it's been great. They've been amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot harder doing the interviewing than it is being the athlete talking absolute rubbish about basketball. To think on the spot, but Soph's been great in being able to help me with that.
Oh, well, I've told her that Mads has come from just like athlete world where it's like, hey, do you want to go on live TV? And she's like, yeah, sure. And I'm reminding her all the time to just take a moment and be really proud of yourself, because what you are doing is actually really hard. And what you are doing, people go to university for years and they do work experience and they do everything they can to crack that industry. And not that I'm saying she's been handed it on a platter, because if she was shit, they would have got rid of her after one episode. I said, you've been given an opportunity and you've grabbed it with both hands. And you've held your spot, and if anything, you've been given more opportunities as it's gone. So while sometimes Mads is like, oh, I just need to do, I've been given the final this week for the blah, blah. I'm like, Maddie, that is brilliant. Like, do you know how hard that is? You're doing live crosses of game openers on television, on networks. Like, so I have to stop her and be like, be so proud of yourself, because you've been thrown in the deep end, but you've held your head high and you're doing brilliantly. So
thank you.
Here. Yeah. What Sophie said, totally agree.
Like, people try for years to get on television. People try and crack TV for years, and here she is doing NBL final openers, live broadcast. It's amazing.
Which is not easy. Someone in your ear and you've got to speak the words. Yeah.
I think my first interview.
I can't even do an Instagram live, so I think you're amazing.
No, definitely.
Now listen, as a complete die-hard romantic that I am, Maddie, I have to ask, the moment that Soph went down on one knee, or proposed,
didn't go down on one knee.
How did that feel? Well, she got out of her shorts, and you're in the white kind of Renault outfit. Not quite what I had in mind. But talk me through it. I love all the romance bits.
Well, we just went up to the house. Soph was like, oh, can we go up to the house this weekend? And I was like, oh, we've got a very busy weekend, but sure, let's just go up there, not knowing that she had this planned. And we were standing in what was going to be our future bedroom, which had nothing in it. Yeah, basically been stripped, like not even a paint job on it, like just plain pulled back. And she asked me if I had my phone on me, and I was like, oh no, sorry, I left it in the car. And she had put her phone up on the windowsill. She's like, oh, it's great lighting here. And I just thought that, an Instagram post later on when we're there, like, oh yeah, nice. And I was like, oh yeah, just joking around. And then we're just, having a moment, just cuddling, and then she just started rolling out this cute speech, saying all these really beautiful things. And then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, and I was still there. Sometimes I'm really bad, because in serious and cute moments, I just can't help but being silly still. Yeah. And so I was just saying, like, oh yeah, And then she like reached for her pocket. I still had no idea. And I was like, oh, what's she doing? And then she's like, will you be my wifey? And as she pulled the ring out, I like had I didn't say anything for 5 minutes.
Which is unheard of.
Yeah. I literally just went, that was my face for about 5 minutes. Just,
it was that exact face.
there was just so many like thoughts going on. The first one was like, okay, what's she doing?
This is a joke.
Two, is this a joke? 3, I was like, that's a ring. 4, this is happening.
That's a big ring.
It's a big ring. And then she was almost like trying to sell it to me because I just didn't say anything.
She didn't say anything, so I had to keep going like, it's real.
Talk quickly. Yeah.
We do. We're pranksters. We joke. We shit stir each other all the time.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
I could see her face was like, oh my God, I think this is real, but also I'm too scared to get excited in case you tell me it's a joke or something. And I'm like, no.
No.
And we had talked about it a lot. Like, you know, we always said like I would propose to Mads. Like I always wanted to do that. And yeah, maybe I just surprised you in that. I knew I wanted to surprise her. However I did it, I wanted to surprise her in that moment. And perhaps people thought that I would do something extravagant with the Instagram cameras and the lighting and the fireworks and this. And I'm like, no, I go back to that simplicity is exactly what I love about us.
It's your cold chicken and it's your mattress watching Netflix.
And it's proposing in a dusty field paint can rolling around everywhere home, because I said to her, this is our next chapter, this is our future, this is where we're going to bring up our own family, and yeah, you want to be my wife?
I love that. I thought I was going to cry again, but I'm all right, and I haven't got much.
Hold it together.
So it's good because I've just got myself together after the last bit. So to go back to the book, you know, who should read this book and why?
You know what? That's a good question. I've had quite a few different people writing to me. So I've had a lot of parents writing to me saying, just simply as like an inspirational, independent woman, I want my daughter to read this book. I've actually had women saying, I'm going to make my son read this book, just in a way to understand how unique females can be and that they have their every right to live their life how they want to. You know, I have a lot of mums read it who are perhaps feeling like they have just completely lost themselves. Like I know that I don't think I've spoken to any mum at some point who hasn't felt like she doesn't know who she is anymore. Just her whole identity.
That list. Yeah.
And so, yes, we can focus again on the sexuality side of it, but I think a common theme is just to live, like I always say, we always hear the line, you get one life and do what makes you happy. And I also found too, growing up as a kid, and I do it to my own kids now, we are constantly telling kids, be whoever you want to be, wear what you want to wear, do what makes you happy. But then when you become an adult, it's like it doesn't apply to you anymore. It's like, no, don't do that. That makes me uncomfortable. And then society tells you, oh, be happy, but please don't do that, or that. And it's like, no, let's continue these values that we try and instill into our children, that you truly get one life to be happy and to do what is going to serve you. And, you know, being a traditional stay-at-home housewife, you know, with a working husband, like that wasn't going to serve me. I was put on this planet to do many more things, and I didn't know what they were. And that's another thing I learnt from writing this book is so many people don't make decisions based out of fear, but it's things that they're fearing they don't even know about. So it's like, don't fear that unknown. Stop fearing that unknown, because you might find some really exciting things in there. It might be challenging as well. You might hit a hurdle, but it's exciting at what you might discover as well. So yeah, it's not all, hey, leave your husband and become a lesbian. That is a really good part of it.
It's such a shame. I'm divorced, so I can't leave my husband. I've already left him.
Still become a lesbian though, because it's brilliant.
There's always that. There is always that.
Always
That my second book.
But it's just to really live for yourself. And, you know, I feel like we are still, we're very outdated still. We are seeing change and it's brilliant, but we're still outdated with expectations that are put on women. With, you know, you got to do this, and it's almost like a timeline is written for us from when we're born as women, that we must do this and we must do that, and but you know, make your own money, but don't make too much money, and have a career, but oh wait, stop, you've got to have children now. And if you're single at 30, then something's wrong with you because no one wants to marry you. Like, it's just bullshit. So
yeah,
it's just, let's eradicate everything and just live our own lives.
I love that. Now listen, before we go to the questions from everyone that's tuned in, I have to ask, we love the book, you know, we've got through the book, we know, you know, every sort of where you guys are up to now. What's the next chapter for you two?
Oh, we barely see each other at the moment.
I'm trying to have a date together.
Yeah. We literally were laying in bed the other night and we're like, okay, cool. Well, our next date night is going to be in 14 days.
Yeah.
So make sure you keep it free. But it's like, but that's what works for us too. Like how we work is we both support each other in what we want to do in our careers, in our life. And when you're just talking about timelines and stuff, we've had, and I know it's just people genuinely asking because they're curious and, you know, are happy for us and everything. But now that we've engaged, they're like, okay, so when you're having your wedding,
when's the wedding?
Yeah,
straight away.
Oh, isn't that annoying? Let me just enjoy the moment, isn't it? Just enjoy now.
Yeah, my answer is always, oh, we've both got shit to do. That's the last on our list. Like, we want to at one point.
And people would probably say, well, why did you propose? It's like that commitment to Mads. She made such a big commitment to myself and my children. And I felt like I wanted to give her that commitment from my side as well, to be like, we are in this, we are a family now. You know, do we want to get married anytime soon? No. Is there a chance? Again, my book's all about, you're allowed to change your mind at any stage of your life. In 6 months, we might go, hey, let's get married next week. Who knows? For me, I know Mads has some really big basketball career ambitions that she really wants to focus on, and I want to help her support that I want to support her to do that. You know, job satisfaction and career satisfaction is really important to us, and I know that for Mads, in order to be, you know, the best mum she can be, that for her to have career fulfillment would help that later on. So I don't want Mads to look back with any regrets or any doubts before she starts that chapter of her life, because the reality is we are a couple, but we have our own lives and we have our own individual ambitions. So, you know, I'm not going to speak on behalf of Mads. For me, I'm truly just looking forward to just chilling out a bit. I've had a big few years. Again, this book has taught me that perhaps I ran from my motherhood journey for a bit, and perhaps I ran from my life for a little bit, and I've been distracted. And my kids now, you know, my priority is basketball training, is swimming lessons. I want to be everywhere I can be for my kids right now. So truly that's my next focus, is just being, I think I ran from mum life for a while, but I'm really looking forward to just getting straight back into that and giving my kids, as they're older now, the very best of me, and just being super present.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that for both of you. I love that.
Thanks.
I think we're going to go to the questions from, do we say the viewers on Instagram? I don't know. I'm too old for this. I think it's the viewers. Okay, that question.
There you go, Mads.
How did I feel reading the book? I haven't completely read the whole book. I know when Sophie was writing it was early on when we got back together. So I know that, you know, I've spoken to a psychologist, not just about that thing, but just because in life, about things in my own journey, in my own childhood and stuff that I'm working on. I knew that it was going to bring up things for me. Like before, again, it's not because it troubles me, it's just because I felt so strongly emotionally at that time that it still can make me feel that way. And so, you know, my psychologist said to me, if I read the book, to then discuss it with her, if I had her as in the psychologist.
Me.
Yeah, not so much Sophie. But then, you know, in my own time, I read bits and pieces and just sit with that for a little bit. So I was still but also so busy at the moment, so I haven't had a chance to. I'm doing my own thing, and I'm, you know, working with a mind coach for my own career as well, and a lot of that has you know, reading in it. So my priority is reading that stuff with the little amount of time that I have. But yeah, I read bits and pieces here and just sit with that for a bit, and
we were well aware of the fact that there would be parts in the book that are uncomfortable for Maddie to read, and I always said to her during the writing process, would you like to read these parts? And there were parts that she wasn't ready to, and there are still parts that she's not ready to, and I need to respect that as well. So like I said at the start, we have come a long way. There are things now we can talk really openly about that once we couldn't. But I think what we've both learned, you know, we saw how upset Maddie got then. Does it hurt her feelings right now? No. But I know from writing the book, you can think you've dealt with something until you have to revisit it. And so there were things from my childhood, my family, my sporting career once upon a time, my marriage, relationships, that I was hysterical writing and rereading. And I was like, wow, that's still, there's a part of me in there that's still emotional about that. And that's okay, because we're human. So it's not to say that Mad still sits here angry and upset at me, but she still has a right to be upset about things in the past.
Feel.
Yeah, she's still allowed to feel. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got another question.
Quite a personal question. When did you know you liked women? I haven't read the book yet as a new mum and haven't really had the time. I had a moment. I had a moment after having my second baby where I met a woman, and she really changed my entire perspective on females. I speak about this in the book, I'd never been remotely sexually, emotionally attracted to women in my whole life. High school, never kissed girls at parties, nothing. I'd never experimented with females. And I met a woman, and that woman sort of unlocked a whole world of women for me. And I think that moment was pivotal, because at the time, I think I got fixated on that woman being who I loved and that woman being the one who changed me. But it was really, she just opened my eyes up to women in general. And so, yeah, and I talk to a lot of women who are either going through the same thing or it's happened to. Until you're in it, it's not like I explain it that I didn't walk into a room one day and flick a light switch and go, you know what I feel like doing? I feel like becoming a lesbian today. I feel like becoming attracted to women. I didn't choose it. It happened to me. And I had two choices: to suppress it and be really miserable and be not authentic and honest with my husband and try to live out that life, or I had the option to follow it and see if it was actually something, which it ended up being. So I'm not opposed to the idea that it could be just a bit of a phase. It could be a little outlet for some women, but for a lot of us, that is our true path. We didn't choose it. We didn't go, hey, I'm just going to ruin my marriage today. I met a woman and she really changed my whole perspective on everything.
You met another woman?
What? Oh my God.
She didn't drop her protein shake and she didn't have a hot bun. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Have we got another question? Yeah, the last. Oh, I think it's the last question.
Oh, it hasn't come up on ours yet. Come on. Is it up on your page?
Lady who's pressing. She knows there's a lovely lady, Amelia, who's pressing the buttons. They don't allow me to touch the buttons, ladies.
I'm too scared to touch it on our phone because it'll fall off.
No, don't you touch it. Okay, stop. Is it there? It's there. I think it's there.
You and Jared's mutual respect for each other shines through in his book. What tips would you have for co-parenting? I think you've answered it there and then, and I say this all the time, and I believed it when Jared and I were together, when we're not. I think respect comes above love, because I've seen, especially throughout my 20s, I've seen a lot of males in relationships. They love their partner, but they don't respect them, and therefore they treat them like shit. For me, respect is always more important than love, because I feel like if you respect someone, you will love them automatically anyway. So it's just being able to listen to each other. It's being able to listen, without feeling the need to respond. Even just the other day, Jared and I had to sit down because we're just facing some different decisions that we need to make, and we can always sit there and we can amicably disagree as long as we're working to a resolution. So we don't just disagree to go, nah, that's what I think, that's what you think. It's okay, so we're on a different page here. What are we going to do to move forward for our children? So it's removing personal feelings out of it. You know what it also is? I think that's worked well for us, and I think you'd agree. Jared and I have always respected each other's privacy a lot as well. So it's not interfering in each other's personal life, which, you know, I have no doubt that's probably really difficult when a lot of love is still involved, either one way or both ways. But Jared and I are very happy in our individual lives, so perhaps it is made easier like that. But 100% respect and communication. And just, I really think that, I always say, like, you choose how you react. I learned that in a retreat that I went on a few years ago, that ultimately you may feel something, but you choose how you react to a situation. So hypothetically, as co-parents, if you're disagreeing on something, you can choose if you want to cause an argument. You can choose if you want to have the shits with someone, or if you want to be a smart ass. Like, this is not co-parenting. This is in life in general. And so in those moments, if you choose to be respectful and you choose to work towards a resolution of how you can co-parent better, that's ultimately up to you and the other person as well.
Well said, well said. And I learnt, I think the word pause helps as well. You know, you're a bit like, oh, you're like, how about I just don't send that text or that email, or just sleep on it. The next morning you're like, you know what, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, respect and communication. Ladies, that's all we've got time for. I have loved getting to know a bit more of you both, book stuff aside. So thank you very much. And thank you for everyone who's joined us. I'm just going to put my glasses on because there's a bit I can't read on the script.
I have to do a cough. I've been holding it in.
You cough, I do the reading bit, okay?
I've got Flossie's cough. I've been holding that in for so long.
You did really well all that time without coughing. Everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us. If you've enjoyed this discussion, you can get a copy of Then There Was Her by Sophia Cachia. And I feel really bad plugging mine, but I've been allowed to.
Go for it. I want to read it. It sounds so interesting. I love the title.
Currently Between Husbands by me, Catherine Mahoney, also available for a second husband, from booktopia.com.au via the link in the bio. I'm going to take my glasses off to say bye. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on.
That was a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for your questions and watching. Sorry, I made you cry. Okay. Thank you so much, Catherine. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you both. Great to see you.